Hi everybody, welcome to Health Sciences 2600 Women and Health. My name is Lokanc-Diluzio and I'm your instructor for this course. I've been teaching with the University of Lethbridge for around 7 years now. I also teach an online course with the University of Alberta. My clinical background as a nurse is sexual and reproductive health as well as public health. And I mostly teach graduate level courses within the Faculty of Nursing. And just a side note, I live in Calgary and my office is at the Bow Valley College site. I've had a few questions over the last couple of weeks about the structure of this course. It is an asynchronous online course, which means that we will not have any real-time sessions together, such as Zoom meetings. Our weeks run from Monday to Sunday, so every Monday your module will open, or I may try to open modules in advance because I've had that request to do so, and then the module will close on the Sunday. So you'll still have access to all the materials, but all the assigned tasks for that week will have to occur between Monday and Sunday. If you want to talk to me, please feel free to email me and book a time. I find it rare that people actually want to talk over the phone or over Zoom. The majority of the people are happy to have an email conversation, but nevertheless, I'm happy to talk on the phone if that does work for you. We're extremely lucky to have a TA for this course. Hannah Soule is a first-year graduate student. She is studying the health of immigrants. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, I am an assistant professor with the Faculty of Community Health Sciences, focusing in the area of nursing. I completed my Bachelor's of Nursing degree in 1997, my Master's of Nursing in 2005, and my PhD in 2014. All of those were done at the University of Calgary. I've taught various courses within the Faculty of Health Sciences over the past 7 years. My research interests have focused on sexual health, health promotion, public health, street-involved youth, youth with disabilities, as well as adult education and learning. So my past work experience included working for Alberta Health Services as a sexual and reproductive health specialist for over 20 years. I've also taught at the University of Alberta in the Faculty of Rehabilitative Medicine, and I'm a co-investigator with the Faculty of Nursing at the University of Calgary. Over the COVID years, I guess, when I was still working with Alberta Health Services, I assisted lots with the COVID response. So I had helped lots with the swabbing and the vaccinating. I'm married. I have a couple of children, both heavily involved in sports. And you can see there is a picture of my golden doodle dog named Bailey. A little bit more about myself. There is my picture where I'm dressed in head to toe PPE. My children and husband get a kick out of this picture. I do not like taking selfies. I'm not on social media, and I've never had a Facebook account, and I know that might be surprising to some people, but that is the absolute truth. Something else about myself, I'm fluent in Friends and The Office and Seinfeld quotes. Sometimes I'll make pop cultural references, and in my spare time, my guilty pleasure is reading up on pop culture like People magazine online, and I like to read cooking blogs as well. And finally, I will say that I cannot survive my day without at least 1 or 2 cups of coffee. Not sure if any of you can relate to that. Health Sciences 2600 was designed to provide you with opportunities to critically think about 2 important issues, women and health. This is a paced course, and it's asynchronous, which means that instruction and learning don't occur at a defined place or time. Some students ask that I open up modules early so they can work ahead. I will try and open up modules 1 or 2 days early, but not more than that. The idea is that everyone will be looking at the content and answering the discussion post questions at a similar time so that you can engage with one another. There are required readings and activities provided weekly on Moodle, and the course uses discussion forums, polls, videos, readings, and quizzes as the primary vehicles for engaging with the material. This course is an inquiry-based approach to learning, and therefore learning and teaching is considered a shared responsibility. The role of myself is to facilitate, guide, and support the learning, whereas the role of the student is to use the resources provided and actively participate in the course activities that I ask you to participate in. Some of the learning in this course is self-directed and will require your engaged commitment to learning and personal growth. The objectives for this course are to recognize the determinants of health and their influence on the lives, health, and well-being of women and their families. Identify the various biases, perspectives, and discourses that impact women's health. Describe women's health issues from biomedical, behavioral, and sociopolitical perspectives. Critically evaluate arguments, texts, media portrayals, and preconceptions about women and health. And critique and form well-supported arguments about women's health issues. There are 4 ways you will be evaluated for this course. The first evaluative activity is online polls and other activities. Online polls and other activities are worth 10% of your final grade. They create a method for you to engage in meaningful expression of ideas or reflection. Participation in these activities, and there are 10 activities worth 1% each, is pass or fail. So for example, if you complete the activity, you'll get 100%. If you don't complete it, you'll get a 0. So for example, this week there is a poll, which is worth 1% of your final grade, asking you to define health, identify stereotypes about women, and choosing the most important determinant of health in your opinion. You will not be marked on your answers. It's really your opinion and your perspective. If you complete all 3 questions, you'll get 100% and get 1 full percent towards your final grade. This week, you will also be asked to introduce yourself to your peers and answer a few questions. And this as well is worth 1% of your final grade. If you complete it, you will get 100%. If you don't complete it, you will get a 0. In the past, I've asked students to do some of these self-directed activities, and the feedback that I've received from students was that they wanted incentives. So if I'm expecting them to introduce themselves, they wanted some kind of incentive. So there you go. We'll see how this all works out. The second evaluative activity are discussion posts. The discussion posts are worth 30% of your final grade. There will be 6 graded posts during the semester. Each post is worth 5%. Therefore, we are looking for high quality posts that follow the guidelines we provide. Each week I will provide guidelines, and I just recommend reading them carefully and following them. If you do so, then you will do well in the discussion posts. There are around 80 people in this class. I think as of today, there's another registrant, so 81 people, the last I've checked. I've divided you into small groups of 8 on the discussion board so that you have a manageable group of people to work with, or to interact with, I should say. Each week you will respond to the question I've asked by Thursday. You then need to respond to a peer's post by Sunday. I want to stress that if you follow the guidelines, you'll likely do well. Now, some people do struggle with articulating their thoughts in an academic manner and therefore might receive a lower grade. But as you get further along into your program, you will find that writing or academic writing will become more intuitive for you, and you will do very well. I think it goes without saying that we all need to be respectful on the discussion board or in any type of communication with one another. Confidentiality is important. What's said in class discussions should stay in class discussions. It's important to respect the ideas, beliefs, and perspectives of other people in the class or other people in your small group. It's important to participate. So to engage fully in threaded discussions. Everyone is responsible for their own learning, and the only way that you can maximize your learning is through participation. It's important to respect the boundaries of your colleagues, avoid sharing or encouraging the sharing of personal things. It's important to share the platform and avoid monopolizing the discussions. Everyone has the right to participate and everyone has the right to be listened to. It's important to stay focused and keep the discussion postings within the scope of the course material. Try to avoid irrelevant tangents. And of course, if you are on an irrelevant tangent, your grade will be reflected. Chill, it's important not to take offense if there's no offense intended. The third evaluative activity are the online quizzes. Quizzes are worth 30% of your final grade, and therefore there are 6 quizzes throughout the 6 weeks, and they are worth 5% each. Quizzes are based on the required readings and videos. There's a mixture of multiple choice, true, false, and open-ended questions. Quizzes are open book and untimed, so you can take as much time as you need within the 1 week period of time to write your quiz. All quizzes will close by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. And I just ask that you manage your time well, because I will not reopen the quizzes once they are closed. When there's 80 or more people in the class, it's very difficult to adhere to individual requests of students, especially in terms of quizzes. So, once again, please manage your time well. Finally, the final evaluative activity is the film or novel study paper. This paper is worth 30% of your final grade. You can submit it anytime after week 2, as the first 2 weeks will assist you with writing your paper. The purpose of this assignment is to demonstrate your skills in the critical appraisal of a selected film or novel related to the intersections between women's health and the determinants of health. You will select, watch, and review one film or novel, fiction or nonfiction, and the film should be at least 60 minutes in duration or close to 60 minutes. And there needs to be a clear connection to women's health. So that's an important piece. You will provide a brief description of what the film or novel is about, the relevance of the subject matter to women's health, the interrelationships among determinants of health that influence the identified women's health issue, and an appraisal of your thoughts about the film as it relates to women's health. The following should be included in your paper. First of all, a title page, and please see the APA website to learn how to format a title page. And you would be surprised as to how many students actually do not put a title page with their paper. It's very important to have a title page which has the title of your paper as well as your name on it. Also include an introduction, and this will be approximately 1 to 2 paragraphs. Include a hook to capture the reader's attention, statement of the central purpose of the film or novel, health issue addressed in the film or novel, link to women and health and the relevant determinants of health. Briefly state the reason you chose to view this film as well. The main body of your paper should be around 4 to 6 pages. Describe the key themes or what you believe the film or novel is about, the relationship of the key themes to both women's health and the relevant determinants of health. Discuss the interrelationships among determinants of health and the health issue addressed in the film or novel. Use illustrative examples from the film or novel to support key points. And use peer-reviewed sources to substantiate your claims about the nature of the interrelationships. Discuss your impressions of the work, why you think the director or author did or did not do a good job with the material, and include a brief personal reflection about the impact, if any, this film has on your understanding of women's health. Your conclusion will be about 1 to 2 paragraphs. And it's a summary of your main points. And, once again, you would be surprised at how many students actually do not include an introduction or a conclusion in their papers. It's very important to begin with an intro and to end with a conclusion. Your paper always needs a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's also important to have references, so you will reference your film or novel citation and at least 5 peer-reviewed sources over the past 10 years. And please express your ideas in 5 to 7 typed double-spaced pages. And this does not include your title page or your reference page. So the content should be 5 to 7 pages. Plus, then you would have an extra page for your title page and you would have an extra page for your reference. I will post a rubric next week as to, with some more details about the film novel study paper. In terms of the film or the novel you select for this paper, there really is a large degree of flexibility here. If there's a book or a movie that you're aware of that relates to women or women's health or some of the topics that we're discussing throughout this course, then chances are that's a very good film or novel that you can select. I was trying to brainstorm some ideas, and here's what I've come up with, and I've done a brief internet search as well. There's a novel called I Am Malala, that would be appropriate. There's a movie on Netflix called City of Joy, another movie called War Against Women. There's a book and a movie called Still Alice. The movie is on Prime Video through Amazon if you're a Prime member. There's a movie called Born into Brothels. Juno, that's another movie that would be applicable, and that's available on Prime Video through Amazon. There's a movie called Vera Drake. And then if you go onto the National Film Board of Canada, and I've provided the web address there, there's a number of movies that look applicable. There's, I think, 3 movies that relate to missing and murdered Indigenous women. There was a movie called Baseball Girls, and there was a number of other movies that looked like they could be applicable to your paper as well. So you can take a look. And the good thing about the National Film Board of Canada is those are all free. This slide touches upon good email etiquette. Proper email skills can make or break a working relationship. Good email often equals getting what you want. So I will say it's important to send your emails from your ulath.ca email accounts. And this is to ensure that your email goes into my inbox versus my spam. I've had, on one occasion, even an email sent from a ULath account
went into my spam, and I'm not sure why that happened. But often if people send emails from other accounts, they do go into my spam folder. Please also, if you can, write a subject head. Now, this summer semester, I'm only teaching one course, but oftentimes I'm teaching more than one course. So I typically do ask that you will, write the name of the course out and then what your email pertains to. I also do ask that provide a salutation. If you're emailing one of the TAs and copying me, please just, say hello, so and so. I don't have a preference as to if you call me Wendy or if you call me Miss Wendy or Dr. Lokanc-Diluzio. It doesn't matter to me, although what I have learned is many people do have a preference of what you call them. So just as long as you call us something, I'll be happy. And it's important that you get to the point with what you're wanting. It's important to avoid text abbreviations because it's often not appropriate and sometimes it's confusion inducing. I often don't know what the shorthand abbreviations of youth vernacular is, so it's better just to spell everything out for me. And I do ask that you also sign your first and your last name because it helps to alleviate confusion, especially when I have more than 80 students and some of you actually have very similar names. We will do our very best to get back to you in 48 hours. And it is usually me responding to an email, but sometimes I will ask one of the TAs to respond, especially if the question is more pertaining to what they're assisting me with. If you don't get a reply back within 48 hours, please feel free to send another email just to follow up. It's also important that you look on Moodle regularly for information. At least once a week, I will send a course announcement, and every person should receive that announcement into their email inboxes. So please look at Moodle for those announcements if you're not getting the announcements in your inboxes. And sometimes if I have multiple people emailing me, there are some days where I might have 10 or 15 students emailing, and then I might have 20 emails from my other job. So sometimes I will email a very short and to the point email. So please don't be offended if it's a curt email. Throughout the semester, there will be required readings or activities which need to be completed because they are you'll be given marks for them. But there will also be additional readings or activities that are optional, and they're just posted there more out of interest or if you have time or perhaps to help you formulate your discussion posts. Something that I do want to bring to your attention is that I can tell from the back end of Moodle how much time you're spending or interacting with the course materials, and if you've even looked at the required readings and videos. So I just want to stress that it's really important that if you want to get something out of this course, you will need to engage with the content. And I sometimes even I've had students that have complained about a grade, so perhaps a discussion post grade, and have said to me, I worked so hard and I don't understand why I got the mark I got. And I will always go to the back end of Moodle and I will see how much time that students have spent engaging with the course materials. And, so I just want you to keep that in mind before you send an email possibly complaining about your grade. I want to stress the importance of having academic integrity. So really being honest and not plagiarizing any of your work. Academic dishonesty and plagiarism will not be tolerated and will automatically result in a 0 grade for the submission. Any student caught plagiarizing may also be subject to additional university sanctions. So if you have any questions about what constitutes plagiarism or what's okay in terms of how you're referencing or how you're using a certain piece of literature, please feel free to ask me if you're unsure, and I'm happy to answer those questions or refer you to a website that has that can explain it to you as well. I just want to conclude by saying how excited I am to start this learning journey with you. I also want to acknowledge Dr. Ann Pidgeal of the University of Lethbridge for sharing course materials as well as her course outline for previous versions of Health Sciences 2600.